Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. The double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rules well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of the video is Nero 47 doubles down on no snap benefits. And basically, you know, he was supposed to unleash full benefits, right, regarding a court order, and those benefits started to actually pay out to individuals. And he went to the Supreme Court to overturn that ruling, basically, and it was granted that he didn't have to pay out the benefits. I believe he only needs to pay out like a partial of the benefits, which means people will go hungry because it won't be the correct amount of money that they're used to, right? And we told you that these days will be here and will come, right? And the scriptures talk about the plagues not being slack, once they come. There's no letting up, So let me grab some of that and I'll play the video real quick. Especially for you Jakes, you 2/3 Jakes out there, right? You trusted, right? You trust Esau, Edom, right? I believe it's 16. You trusted in Esau, Edom, right? It says, Second Ezra 16:1, woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia, woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Gird up yourselves with costs of sack and hair. Bewail your children, and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire sent among you, who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? Right, so the plagues are here, and they're not going to be slack. We jump down. This is verse 14. It says, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. Right? And then we jump down to 17. It says, woe is me, woe is me. Who will deliver me in those days? It says, the beginning of sorrows and great mourning, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars. And the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for a minute. Right? It says, but for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. I bet when, those benefits was been unleashed, none of y'all probably think Yahweh Bashman Shai, that you got a little something. Maybe if it's a like individual that's on those benefits, obviously they would, thank the Lord Yahweh Bashman Shai. But for the most part, the scriptures say that you have received benefits and have not known. The same shall know it after death by pain, right? I believe that's the sixth, Second Ezra 6 or 9. You go to after this. All right, Slack. I'm looking for this one right here. Okay. This is Second Ezra 16:37. Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack. As when a woman with child in the ninth month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child coming forth, they slack not a moment. And for mainly you women, that, because things are harder for you. You love to eat, of course, everyone loves to eat, but you know, basically when the food is not there, pretty much you just got there's nothing for you to do basically. But for you women that had children, about the pain of giving birth. You know, it says, even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. And it's gonna be crazy for you women, to the fact that you're gonna be doing stuff that you never thought you would do, like eating your own children, you know, because you're so fucking hungry. Um, I wanted to go to 6. Let me see. I believe it's 6 or 9. Which it's 6. Oh, okay, right here. So this is Second Ezra chapter 9 and verse 9. It says, "Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments." It's going to be a torment to go hungry. It says, "For such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me, and they that have loathed my law while they had yet liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. The same shall know it after death by pain." And the time of repentance is now. While the prophets, the men of the Lord, are here telling you what's about to happen to you. This is your open door chance to repent, right? So you're going to be in torments, right? Because the plays ain't slack. Trump, this cruel Lord, Donald Nero 47, he not letting up.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the belly of the beast, Florida. Yesterday's timeline was pretty crazy, and I want to talk about it.
So we've got more major news just in on Snap. Donald Trump is now going to the Supreme Court and begging them to block an earlier order that requires him to pay out Snap payments. We've already heard earlier today that the USDA was complying with that court order and that some of those payments have already started to hit people's EBT cards. Well, Donald Trump is not too happy about that, and he's asking the Supreme Court to let him starve Americans. You can see the filing right here from legal reporter Kyle Cheney, who says the Trump administration asks the Supreme Court to stop by 9:30 tonight the court orders requiring the payment of full November SNAP benefits. And this news comes about an hour after we learned that the U.S. Court of Appeals for the First Circuit denied the Justice Department's request for an administrative stay of the temporary restraining order requiring full SNAP benefits to be paid by Friday. Basically, you have Donald Trump losing in the courts, losing in the appeal courts, the money going out, hitting people's EBT cards, at least some people's. I know some of you have told me that you've already begun receiving these SNAP payments. I know some of you have not yet. But as all this is happening, Donald Trump making this his number one goal to starve Americans, going to the Supreme Court, demanding that they act by tonight and block these other court orders and allow him to withhold SNAP payments to millions of Americans. I hope this is starting to open some people's eyes as to what the priorities of this administration are. While Donald Trump builds a golden ballroom, renovates bathrooms in the White House, and takes a trip to his gilded palace in Mar-a-Lago, this is what he's focused on: starving Americans.
Like most people with a sane, rational mind and a decent, kind, empathetic soul, when I heard this news happen on Thursday, people are going to be getting their food. You know, kids aren't going to be going hungry. I was pretty happy about it. But like I said, the timeline of this yesterday was pretty interesting because you did have the appeals court coming out and saying that, hey, guess what, guy? You need to go ahead and pay these people. That way they can go ahead and eat, because we don't want our country to go into a complete collapse and civil unrest as the working class, which is what pretty much everybody who collects food stamps are, to just decide that they've had enough and, I don't know, go on a general strike or something. And Donald Trump just took a second, looked away from Fox News as he realized that everything that he wanted was just kind of collapsing around him. The giant blue wave happened the other day. Not a single Republican won, apparently. Now he has to do the one thing. He's being forced to do the one thing that he really hates: feeding the poor. So he got his McDonald's-filled, bloated body up off the couch and sprinted over to the Supreme Court. Because since he went ahead and, has filled the Supreme Court with people who are just going to do exactly what he wants, he figured they'd go ahead and bend the knee or bend the Constitution to whatever he wanted. And you know what? They were right.
It's getting late, but we've got a major update just in. So we just heard from the Supreme Court, and they have granted Donald Trump's emergency appeal on SNAP, temporarily blocking a lower court order that would have required the government to fully fund SNAP food aid payments during the ongoing government shutdown. This emergency appeal means that the administration can move forward with its plan to issue only partial payments this month, despite a federal judge's earlier ruling that full benefits must be paid. At the heart of this case is whether the Trump administration can refuse to use available contingency funds to cover the full cost of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, a program, by the way, that provides food aid to more than 40 million Americans, including millions of children and seniors. The lower court had given the administration until today to comply, but the Supreme Court's intervention intervention now pauses that order while the case continues to play out. This ruling is a huge blow to, I don't know, anyone who doesn't want to see Americans starve, as millions of families will go hungry as the shutdown drags on, while the Trump administration insists that it cannot spend money it doesn't have. This, as they send, I don't know, $40 billion to Argentina and find plenty of money to fund ICE and White House renovations and Trump's travel and golf trips and all that. Trump, meanwhile, has traveled to Florida to go to his private club to party and golf for the weekend.
You know what's hilarious? If it wasn't so grotesque, it's just watching this circus, watching the Feeding America program turn into maybe Feeding America program. Because at some point, the head of state decided that groceries are going.
All right, so basically no food, right? This is Isaiah 32 and 5. It says, "In that day, ungodly fools will not be heroes; scoundrels will not be respected. For fools speak foolishness and make evil plans. They practice ungodliness and spread false teachings about the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai. They deprive the hungry of food and give no water to the thirsty. The smooth tricks of scoundrels are evil. They plot crooked schemes. They lie to convict the poor, even when the cause of the poor is just. But generous people plan to do what is generous, and they stand firm in their generosity." And this is going to verse 9 here, where I was speaking about earlier regarding the woman, because who knows you better than the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai, right? And obviously, he's telling you that you're at ease. You have lived carelessly. You have received benefits from these devils, right? That's the part of the whole scheme and plan that Esau Edom did. He gave you all these different benefits and financial aid for you to basically have the husband out of the house, right? So you threw your men away and chose the white man, right? You chose Esau Edom, for majority of you. And those benefits are being taken away from you now, right? And the Most High, Yahweh, Bashem Shai, basically, put it right here in the scriptures that this was going to happen. Isaiah 32:9, it says, "Listen, you women who lie around in ease. Listen to me, you who are so smug." And that's the point. You women have basically lived a life funded by the devil in many ways. It's either you get the SNAP benefits and the husband out of the house, or you're better off at getting jobs. And this was all done on purpose. So-called breadwinners. You would be a breadwinner because you have a high paying job, whatever the case may be. Esau probably like looking at you around the office, whatever the case may be. You scantily dressed, so you got hired, whatever the case may be. The men are a threat, so obviously they don't want us to, come together, have great jobs, and basically provide and be men in his society, basically. So we were kind of thrown under the bus, and our women were pushed forth because you are easily controlled, and you took the bait, basically for a lot of y'all. So like I said, it goes both ways. Either you're on the SNAP benefits and the husband is not there, or Esau done pushed your head up like you're just the best thing since sliced bread, and you can do everything, like it's you that's actually doing it when it's Esau hiring you, and now you think you're better than men. And that's why a lot of these federal jobs is getting cut, because obviously, like I said, it's either you got the benefits or you're working for the government. Either way, you dealing with Esau, and he just broke up with y'all, right? So Isaiah 32:9, "Listen, you women who lie around in ease. Listen to me, you who are so smug. In a short time, just a little more than a year, you careless ones will suddenly begin to care, for your fruit crops will fail, and the harvest will never take place." This goes into the food and all benefits. Whatever you've been getting, that shit is over with, right? The scriptures talk about a man being a hiding place, right, from the wind, right? It says, "Tremble, ye women, of ease. Throw off your complacency, right? Strip off your pretty clothes and put on burlap to show your grief." And I'm kind of surprised, with all this information coming out, you women were really just haughty, just smug, and all this, and the whole time Esau paying you, right? Esau's paying all your bills and shit. You getting like free rent and all this extra shit, and y'all just walk around like y'all hot shit. It's kind of crazy. It says, "Tremble, ye women of ease, throw off your complacency, strip off your pretty clothes, and put on burlap to show your grief. And like I said, it is both ways with the federal jobs and whatnot. It says beat your breasts in sorrow for your bountiful farms and your fruitful grapevines. For your land will be overgrown with thorns and bearers. Your joyful homes and happy towns will be gone. It says the palace and the city will be deserted, and busy towns will be empty. Wild donkeys will frolic and flock will graze in empty forts and watchtowers. So basically, it's about to be uh, hell. It's about to be hell, basically here. And the only thing that's going to help you is a man of the Lord. Let me grab that. Um, Suck you. You got it written down right here. Okay, it was right here. I'm getting KJV. It says Isaiah 32:1. Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. This is the glorious future. Ultimately, we're on our way to the kingdom, and we're rehearsing righteous acts. And in that process, the Most High Yahweh Bashmi Shai is refining his men, to be those kings, right? Isaiah 32:2, it says, and a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind. Because ultimately, the Most High servants, right, which are men, right, the prophets and, the body are going to be able to eat and be protected, right? Even some of his men, he will give spiritual power. It says, and a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. You think about it, that's a good thing. You know, Basically, he's going to make his men, glorious to be able to provide and protect in the times of when things are few, right? And there's really nothing there. You get Isaiah 13. It says Isaiah 13:11. It says Isaiah 13:9. Behold, the day of the Lord Yahweh Bashim shall come cruel both with wrath and fierce anger to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. Right. So once again, the land's going to be desolate. Food is going to stop. The grinding cease. Ecclesiastes 12. No work, no nothing. Right. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. Ultimately, with everything that's going to eventually be taking place, World War III, right? Smoke in the air. It says, and I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. And once again, a lot of you women has been proud. Ain't no, for men, we just had to do it. Just work. Scripture say, if man don't work, you don't eat. And we pretty much live by that. So all we did was work. We try to figure it out, work through whatever the case may be. But you women have been at ease because it's literally have been easier for you, right? The majority of you, that leaned on Esau's system and one way or the other. You know, it says, verse 12, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. And pretty much that's just the way it's going to be, right? And that's why you have Isaiah 4:1, because is the Most High Yahweh Bashmi Shai is putting righteous order, back in place. Isaiah 4:1, it says, in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man. What is this saying? It's saying a remnant prepared, right? And that goes into what? Preparing the body, for the kingdom. Rehearsing the righteous acts, getting the correct mindset of what's happening, who you are. It says, and in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name, called by thy name to take away our reproach. Ultimately, you're gonna need a man, right? And you have to bear children, right? To basically be saved, you're gonna need a man. You're gonna need to bear children to be saved, all right? And that's why a man will be more precious than fine gold. Okay, pretty much that's the point. Let me grab that. If I grab it, bear with me. First Timothy 2:15. woman instructed. All right, let's get it. It says, 1 Timothy 2 and 9, in like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broiding hair or gold or pearls or costly array, but which becometh woman professing godliness with good works. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in transgression. Right. So even in the garden, the wicked came to Eve, and deceived Eve, and just how you women have been deceived uh, in this time. Right. You took the bait. Right. First Timothy 2 and 15 says, notwithstanding she shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety. Right. So basically you need to be in subjection to your husband, and bear children. He says, but woman will be saved through childbearing, assuming they continue to live in faith, love, holiness, and modesty. Yeah, you just can't be a fucking demon, right? And think shit gonna be sweet, because the Most High will get you up out of there. He will get you up out of there. All right. So the man you with, just get one of the other women that the Most High is gonna bless the man with, right? You're not needed. All right. You have to understand that, and that's just what it is. All right. You're needed, of course, for bringing back the other Israelites in the kingdom, but right now only the elect will be saved. So you could be one of those Israelites that will come back and not make it, and then you have to know it, through death, through starvation, through something, you know. So you got something good, you just hold on to it, basically, right? And you got a man of the Lord, you hold on to it, especially if man is doing the work, in truth and in sincerity, right? And you see that, right? You know, if you asking your husband, did you do a video yet today or anything like that, whatever, just conversation, then you got somebody good that's doing the work of the Lord, right? That's putting the effort in it, and things like that. All right. So yeah, woman will be saved in childbearing, right? So pretty much that's it. Nero 47 doubles down on no snap benefits. Shalom to the hopeful elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.